Thank you for joining Here and Now Global. I'm Alicia and today I have a special guest for you. She's a recent breast cancer survivor and went through chemo, losing her hair and everything at the age of 31. Now I'm going to turn to Esther. So Esther, can you tell everyone a little bit about you and your journey?
Well, thank you for having me, Alicia. I really appreciate it. So I'm originally from South Africa. I grew up there and I moved away when I was 18, right after high school, and then I moved to the States where I lived for about 10 years. And then I ended up here in Cayman and I absolutely loved it. The first 4 months I was here, I was exploring, I was making new friends. I moved here by myself, so I didn't know anyone, so it was an absolute adventure, and I got to have great fun with great new friends and go to great parties and really enjoyed myself quite a lot. And then in January of 2017, on January 3rd, I was doing a self-breast exam and I ended up finding a lump. It was probably about half the size of my thumb when I found it. So it was quite large and I could feel it right away. And the first thing I did was call my mum, because honestly, what else do you do when you freak out a little bit? And then I went to the doctor the next day. I had to start work actually the next day, and I ended up spending my whole day between the doctor's appointments and the hospital getting physical checks done and mammograms and ultrasounds. And by the end of it, the doctor said to me, we're sending you to Miami and you're to book a one-way ticket because you cannot come back until you've received the results of your tests. So off I went to Miami on January the 9th to go get my biopsies done. I had 2 biopsies done, one on my breast and one on my axilla, which is right here where your lymph nodes are under your arm. And apparently when they did the ultrasound, they found another tumor right under my arm. So I had those 2 biopsies. The next day, while I was getting a pedicure, I got a call from the doctor and they said, look, it's stage 3 and your ductal, it's a ductal carcinoma. So you're gonna have to stay, you're gonna have to come in, go eat something, come in. We need to go through a lot of tests over the next few days and get started. So that was January 10th and that was when I was diagnosed. And since then, I've gone through 6 months of pretty intense chemo last year. Then I had an oncoplastic resection in South Africa, and I also had my radiation treatment for 7 weeks straight in South Africa. And then this year I had 7 months of chemo, oral chemo medication. And so I've just finished that, and now I am just on my regular 5-year plan, which is you have medication every day that you have to take in order to not relapse, and I take that every day. With every 3 months I get injections.
Wow, that is a fully packed, kind of hectic setup. So Esther is quite unique in the fact that she has handled breast cancer like a champ. Okay, what she likes to show us anyway always looks like a champ. No doubt there is a lot more challenges. Some of those challenges which I'm particularly interested in, Esther, is hair loss and how that process kind of came about, how you handled it. What did you do? So the hair loss, initially I wasn't very worried about the hair loss because I've always thought, hair grows back, it's not a big deal, that's just the way it goes. So initially when they told me there's something called cold caps which you can get when you receive chemo. The only problem with cold caps is it's cold. Sorry, so what do the cold caps do?
The cold caps keep your hair. It helps you keep your hair. And the problem with the cold caps to me is that they're really cold. And when I say cold, it's negative 30 degrees. So it's not just a little cold. It's like freezing. And for me, I don't do cold, so that was something that I was either gonna be comfortable going through, chemo, which sucks already, or make it even worse by having a cold cap on my head. So I decided to just go the normal route and just lose my hair if I need to. I think the worst moment came for me when I was in the shower, I was washing my hair, and all of a sudden a massive chunk of hair, I mean, I kid you not, like a ball. I just washed it, and all of a sudden I went like this, and I just had a ball of hair in my hand. That was the moment when I realized like I was really, really sick, and that this is actually happening because you're standing there in the shower with a massive ball of your hair. So right after that happened, I called my friend Serena and I asked her for their razor, and I just said, you know, I need to shave this off. And I cried. My dad was here, and I sat with my dad and I just cried, and I didn't ask why me, but I did ask why this was happening, because it's not a fun experience, unfortunately. And so the next day I decided, you know what, this is a crappy situation, it's not something fun, so I'm gonna flip it, I'm gonna make it fun. First I went looking for a bunch of hair dye that I could just dye my hair a bunch of different colors and then shave it off, but I ended up just going and having a friend of mine create a mohawk and kind of freaking my mum out a bit and sending her a picture of a mohawk, just because my mum, she freaks out about stuff like that. She's a little conservative hair wise and like the way you look, so I was very excited to send her something that would freak her out. So that's what I decided to do. Once I shaved my head, I kind of felt calmer about the situation, because the big thing to realize is that shaving your hair and losing your hair doesn't actually make you ill when you're having cancer. It's not like anything else where it could actually get you sick. Shaving your hair or losing your hair in this particular instance isn't the worst thing, because it doesn't contribute to your illness in any way. So that was what kind of was positive for me. And then what I did was I just decided I was just gonna rock it. I was just gonna go, and I was gonna take on the world as a lovely bold lady and use earrings and sun hats, especially here in Cayman, because it is so hot. You needed to have something in your head constantly, because otherwise you'll burn quite easily, because it's not an area that usually burns. So yeah.
Sounds like such a nappily ever after kind of realization. You've seen the movie, right? And the realization, this lady is happy. She shaves her head off, and the freedom. Now, one thing you mentioned in there is, you know, shaving your hair, it doesn't contribute to your illness, but the stigma out there, like I remember myself, I had a guy come to me in a club once offering to have a kinky time with me because he thought I was dying. Because if you wear a wig or if you have no hair, it's the stigma out there is that you're sick, you're ill, you're dying. How did you kind of feel with that, or what kind of experiences did you come across?
So I didn't actually have something like that happen. I mean, who knows? But it's definitely, people take notice of you a lot quicker. I just decided to look at the perks of the matter. If people put me in that category, I would be like, okay, but so since I'm doing this and since I've got my head shaved, I'm going through whatever you think I'm going through, like, what can we do to make life easier for me? I chose to look at all the perks you can get, basically. You know, wearing aviators that don't actually get stuck in your hair and doesn't pull out everything that's in there, and it's not painful.
It's a good pleasure, actually.
It
well
really
done.
is. Yeah. The first time I wore those and I realized they weren't getting stuck in my hair, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. That nothing is happening. It's not annoying. So I looked at things like that to kind of put into perspective that this is just something that is there right now, and it doesn't define who I am in any sense of the way I am. I mean, I was 31, so I was pretty solid on who I am, but having such a major shift can really hit you psychologically and mentally, and just it didn't hit me right away. It actually hit me later after surgery.
Okay. Now, you also mentioned the use of earrings and sun hats here in Cayman. You quite enjoyed the use, and aviators. Are there any other hair solutions that you've kind of used to make yourself kind of adapt to the situation better?
Yes, so I used to wear scarves a lot, especially at work, because it's quite cold in the office, so my head would get cold quite easily. So I looked up a lot of different ways to wear scarves, and I loved it actually. It really became like something new for me to learn. And since I did about 5 months of my treatment in South Africa, and it was during the winter, I wore lots of hats, berets, beanies. Like, I would just find random funky hats and just wear them. And I love earrings, so I would find statement earrings and small earrings and see how they would change the way I looked. And I also played a lot more with makeup. I'm not really a makeup kind of girl, but I found lipsticks to wear that would I found a really bright red lipstick that would be the first thing you see when you looked at me, and you wouldn't even notice the hair because you would be looking at this bright red lipstick. And then just enhancing other features. So I used eyeshadow and things to play up my eyes, and just kind of using the things that I could to take away from my hair so much and kind of put the focus somewhere else.
No, that's really awesome. They're really good ideas, especially like the earrings, enhancing the femininity with makeup and whatnot. Now, everyone watching this might be wondering, wait, Esther went through chemo, in 2017. Why is she bald again? Esther.
So I am bald again by choice this time. And the reason is, when I was going through chemo, it was terrible. I got extremely, extremely ill. And every year in Cayman, we do a Brave the Shave to raise funds for children's cancer research. And because the reason for it is because kids usually get the same chemo treatment that adults get, but they're not really supposed to be getting that. It's not made for them, right? And we get really sick as adults, and I don't want to have any small child going through that. So I decided to put my hat in the ring to shave my head and raise funds for people to donate towards me. And they can donate until the end of this year, so there's still time if anyone wants to donate. And basically shaved my head again for the kids, because that's really, at the end of the day, you become more aware of the things that matter to you. And hair, to me, at this point, I've already lost it once. It grew back the first time, it'll grow back now, and I rocked it the first time, I can rock it again.
Can I just say, and I'm pretty sure everyone here listening will agree, doesn't she rock it? Give us a little head shake there, Esther. I mean, there's one sexy head. I'll be honest, I don't think I'd quite pull it off. I think I've got a few dents on my head points that I think will be really interesting to my audience is hair loss. And I mean, you're already going through such a traumatic experience with, you've identified cancer, which can be life-threatening, physical and mental challenges. Now, hair is a bit more superficial, but it's still, in this day and age, hair is important to females. How did you handle that, and what were the hardest aspects for you?
So the hardest aspect for me was definitely post-surgery. So after surgery, I didn't have hair. My boobs had just been cut up. I have scars everywhere. I only have one nipple at this point, and I was pretty low on myself just because I felt that, who actually wants to be with someone that has no hair, has cut up boobs, and just doesn't really seem appealing in any way. So I really had to work on the fact that none of that really matters. It just adds to who I am. And it took my oncologist in South Africa to tell me there's actually a practice in Japan where they break a jar and then they fill it in with gold, and it actually becomes more valuable. And she said to me, that's what your scar and your hair is about. That's basically what they are to you. They've just made you more valuable than you were 6 months ago. And that really resonated with me. And I can't tell you exactly what the name of the practice is, but it really did stick with me. And that's something that I looked at every time I looked in the mirror and I saw these massive scars. I mean, they go from one side of my chest to the other, you know, and they're under my arm, and it's not something you can miss when you look at my body. And obviously no one sees me naked but myself, but it's not something you can miss. And so it really did stick with me, and I just thought, you know what, you're right. Like, this whole thing, losing my hair, getting cut up, changing my entire body and the whole way that I feel things in my body, because I have like places in my body that I can't feel anymore, and then things that are hypersensitive. Everything has added to the person that I am now, and I'm a more patient person, I'm a more aware person in many ways, and I really has changed the perspective of how I look at myself and how I look at the world, and prioritize things that are important to me in my life.
That's actually really beautiful, and I think something that, you know, everyone can learn from, and hopefully they don't have to go through such a challenge or an ordeal to understand that, but, you know, to take a step back and reevaluate the values in the world, and that it's not just these materialistic images or connotations that, you know, are impressed upon us, such as a big, thick, lush ponytail or something like that, you know?
I agree. I recently saw someone post a head of hair that's got long, beautiful hair, and she said, your hair is your crown, and I just thought, that's utter rubbish. I mean, it's complete rubbish.
Whatever crown is on your head, it is how you wear it and how you walk with it that makes you the royalty that you are.
Agreed.
You know what? Like, you know, the fact you've just reshaved your head again to help others in the community, and you are walking like a boss. Now, Esther, do you have a quote or something along the lines that you want to tell the audience, you know, help them get through breast cancer, or, you know, just give them a bit more motivation for the day?
Absolutely. So I actually don't have a specific quote, because even though I love to read, I don't really remember quotes, but I love music, and music is part of every part of my life. You can play me a song and I probably can tell you where I was when I last heard that. So I actually started a chemo playlist when I was going through chemo, that I would start playing the second I woke up, and it amped me up. It was all upbeat music, just to get me going. But there are 4 songs in particular that I listen to constantly, just to get me through the day, get me through the processes, especially when you're being stuck with needles all the time and things like that. These 4 songs really just really helped me out, so I would love to share them with you guys. The first one is Hamilton. It's a musical.
Of course.
Everyone that knows me knows that I absolutely love Hamilton. It's my dream to go and see the show.
Did I mention that Esther is an accountant and Hamilton is based on a very wise accountant?
Yes, it is based on the person that created the financial systems for the US government, which is
Nerd
kind of crazy.
alert!
But the song is called My Shot. And so basically I used to play it every time I had to get a shot or get something stuck into me, a needle. I even had them play it while they were putting anesthesia in me right before my surgery. And I will probably have them do the same thing when I go in for surgery this year. The second one is Rachel Platten's Fight Song, which I know everyone knows because it's a brilliant song.
Do you want to sing a little? Like the key
No,
lyrics you like?
absolutely not.
Okay, fine.
That one I basically had on repeat because it's the fight song. That's what it's for. It's there to inspire you. It's there to push you when you think you have nothing left to give. And sometimes I didn't feel like I had anything left to give, so I really needed that extra push to just get me through it. And then there's another Broadway show called Dear Evan Hansen that is absolutely amazing. The music is brilliant, and the song is called You Will Be Found. And this song in particular is about if you are down and out, when you feel like the world isn't paying attention to you, like you could basically disappear and no one would notice. That's exactly from the show. Then reach out your hand and there will be someone there for you and you will be found. And sometimes when you're going
Anyone else
through
just
this,
get chills?
I know I did.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, this song, when I was having my worst days and I felt as if no one would see me or no one would even notice if I died, this song got me through those moments. And then last but not least, I know everyone will know this song as well because it's become really, really popular. It's called This Is Me from The Greatest Showman. And this particular song was added post-surgery as well because it's about the way you look. And this song gave me the attitude, the confidence, the ability to go in and say, yeah, this is me, I got this. And my favorite lyric from that song is, I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be, this is me. And that, to me, getting chills as I say it, that is really one of the biggest things to me is in harnessing the confidence you have, because you do have it in you, you just have to go and get it out.
I like that. I think that's the biggest part. Whether you're going through breast cancer, any other cancer treatment, medical, alopecia or the like, it's a matter of, you know, you are who you're meant to be. It's just a matter of getting it out, having the bravery to let the world see and truly let yourself shine. Now, I think that's a beautiful quote, Esther, and it's you know, accurate not just from a breast cancer survivor perspective or anyone else going through current cancer treatments or any other medical treatment. It's the same, you know, I have alopecia and it's taken me a really long time to get the confidence to really look at who I am and that this is who I'm meant to be, and to have the bravery to just let me shine. And I want to encourage everyone out there just to do something that scares them today, that allows their personality to pop out a little bit more and to have their moment to shine.
Absolutely.
And now, to conclude on our interview, is there anyone you want to say, you know, thank you to? I know, you know, you've been through a lot. It's been, you know, over a year. Oh shit, you're coming up 2 years now from when you were first diagnosed.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really tough couple of years so far. My family, as always, is going to be first and foremost. They've been absolutely phenomenal. My dad flew out to Cayman twice to look after me. My mum flew out once and she was supposed to stay here for 5 weeks, but I ended up getting so sick that she stayed for 7. And when I was home, they took care of me. My stepdad checked my wounds and made sure that I was okay and I wasn't getting infections. My stepmom, she did everything she could to make me as comfortable as possible when I was going through radiation, and she always helped with, because you have to wear a certain bra that's really hard to get off, so she would come every night and help me take off my bra, and in the morning she would help me put it back on because I couldn't shower with it, and the only time I wasn't allowed to wear it was during the shower. And just my family in general, they were just phenomenal. It's such a tough time when you're going through that, but it was really special as well to be home and be able to spend time with them at the same time and really get that support, which is why I ended up going to South Africa in the first place. And then my friends here in Cayman were just brilliant. I mean, I basically told them this happened and everyone rallied around me, and it was so heartwarming. I actually had about, not just here in Cayman, but also my friends globally, I had 5 people contact me and say, if you need me to, I will come to Cayman and take off and look after you. So please just let me know. And it is such a humbling experience when you have people reach out to you and say that, because it really means that you mean something to them as well. And those people mean a lot to me, even, you know, to this day. Then the Breast Cancer Foundation here in Cayman, Lydia and Jeanette are absolutely phenomenal. If any of you ever come here, if you ever want to come to the Caymans and you decide that you want to come see, there's galas here every year. The Breast Cancer Gala was just a couple of weeks ago and it was phenomenal, and it's all because Jeanette and Lydia really put in the time and make the effort to raise as much money for the Breast Cancer Foundation as possible so that they can help the breast cancer patients, which we are. And then lastly, but definitely not least, is the chemo nurses themselves. A lot of people tend to forget about them. They look at everyone else, the doctors, this and that, but for me, there are certain people, and these nurses, Rosanna and Maria, Andrew, Clarissa, Brittany, and Ramon, they were my chemo team here on island, and they are some of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. They were there during the worst parts of my chemo treatment, and they shared with me some of the best days when I was feeling good. And they know how up and down everything went, and they were there for all of it, but they always had a hand to hold and they always had a kind word to say. So it was definitely that. And then thank you, Alicia, for letting me spread the awareness of breast cancer and be able to share this journey with you that's so special with your alopecia website. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. And Esther, it has been a massive pleasure to speak with you today.